Welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, coming to you every week from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful ice of the Galactic Empire. Join your hosts, John Mark Tolley, Garrett K. Jones, and Brian Karasik, as they discuss the various facets of the saga's lore, characters, review the films, and discuss every tidbit of news coming out of Lucasfilm. And remember, this isn't just my Star Wars, this isn't just your Star Wars, this is our Star Wars. It is indeed our Star Wars. Welcome once again to another captivating episode of War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. I'm John Mark Tolley. Joining me is Garrett K. Jones, and we were supposed to be joined by Brian Karasik, but from what I saw, evidently he has a family member not feeling good.
I think he said something about his father being in the hospital, and so tonight we have our as we're recording. We're recording this at night. It's probably Wednesday by the time you guys are watching this. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Brian and his family, and hopefully his father has a speedy recovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, we do too. Well, what are we talking about today?
Well, it's good that you made mention of that, because we are talking about a new character crave, a character we haven't even touched on before. I'm surprised it took us this long to even cover this character. We're talking about Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon,
and
yes.
With all here's something that's funny to me is that, and you're probably going to groan and complain and tell me to get out or off the planet or whatever it is that you're going to say, but my thought is this: with all the drinks that they have listed at the Oga's Cantina in the Star Wars land at Disney, I am surprised they have not gone with a Qui-Gon Jinn and Tonic.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Seriously, it's right there.
You did there.
It's right there, and maybe it's a little hanging fruit, but gosh darn it, it works just so well.
It does. It does. Well, I mean, so yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn.
And Tonic.
Yes. You know,
we're already 3 minutes in, and you're like, "Get out, get out." So yeah, we're talking Qui-Gon Jinn, who is I mean, if you've watched through the prequels, he is the first Jedi Master that we are introduced to, and we'll go a little bit through.
A very interesting.
Yeah,
a very interesting Jedi Master.
When you
get a certain sense.
You get a sense of what?
You get a sense of just who. I mean, it's pretty early on of just who this person is and what their kind of mindset is very, very quickly. Yeah,
he's I think the thing I like about Qui-Gon is that he was just so no nonsense when it came to the way he operated. Like he understood a good joke. He did like to converse with people and get to know them. Like, he's very personable, but he is no nonsense, and he likes to make sure that things are on the level. At least, when it comes to dealing with people he likes and has to show respect to. Like, I mean, obviously his interactions with Watto were a little less than reputable, but at the same time, it's like, you can't really blame him for cheating a cheater.
Yeah, and you gotta, I think that he showed a bit of pragmatism, understanding of where he was at, the situation he was in, and dealing the cards that he was dealt with, so to speak. And understanding that, okay, this is a place where your normal
way of operating that probably wouldn't have worked. Trying to do things on the up and up with Watto would not have worked because Watto would have tried to swindle him.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you first saw, so obviously, I mean, the character is played by Liam Neeson, the amazing Irish actor who has been known for, the Taken films. He played in Rob Roy. The most recent movie he did was the reboot of The Naked Gun, which seemingly seems to be something that dry comedy is something he's actually decent at. Like he plays a bad guy in. He actually shows up in a couple of Seth MacFarlane movies. He shows up in Ted Part 2, and then he plays the evil cowboy in A Million Ways to Die in the West. And he is just he's so deadpan.
And I heard a thing about that he agreed to do that only if he could keep his Irish accent.
Yes.
That's the only way. But no, I mean, and by the way, he's Northern Irish, just not to split hairs, but he's from Belfast. But I find that a character that only shows up in one movie officially would this quickly become such a fan favorite.
Well, and I think the reason for that is there's something really cool and really noble about him. Like I like prior to the Clone Wars, I think Qui-Gon is probably, he represents the epitome of the Jedi Order. This is the man who he is not committed to any belief other than following the will of the Force, and he lets it guide him. He lets it lead him, and like he is conscientious about the cosmic Force, but he, as we were talking about last week with in our lore episode, he focuses on following the will of the living Force. He's listening to the midichlorians. He is listening to the world around him. He is listening to how the Force moves through nature as a way to do what he thinks is best for everybody involved. And I think that's kind of a neat thing because like there's a lot of Buddhism elements in the world building surrounding the Jedi, and I think this is probably by far the most we see leaning towards those origins than any other character, even more so than I think Yoda.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. He's also, and we see this later with with some other characters in Star Wars, but he is definitely the kind of person who will do the right thing even if it's not the popular thing, even if it will gets him in trouble. And we see that when we hear Obi-Wan talking about how there are multiple times he could have been on the council, but he went against the council because we can assume he thought it was the right thing to do. To not always do what the council says and not always toe the line.
And I see, that's the thing I thought was really kind of interesting about him, because like he grows up on Coruscant. I mean, he was born around circa 80 BBY. Looking at the information here, he was only 48 when he died. He was only 48 when he was killed by Darth Maul. And so he was born on Coruscant. Don't really know much about his origins beyond that. I'm actually pulling up his biography and everything. But while he didn't necessarily come from money, you could see that he took his position as a Jedi very seriously and lived out the aesthetic to a T. because what it says here on Wikipedia is that he was a male human born on Coruscant, circa 80 BBY. He was taken to the temple as a boy for training by the Jedi Order and was assigned to the Heliast clan, where he learned lightsaber combat from Jedi Master Tera Sinube. When Jinn was 12 years old, he was assigned as a Padawan to Jedi Master Dooku, from whom he learned the ways of the Force. He'd spent his last night in the youngling's room, laughing with his friends, imagining all the adventures he would have as a Padawan, and practicing with his lightsaber in the sparring room until Master Yaddle ordered him to bed. When the future Jedi Master Eno Cordova, if you're not familiar with that name, he's a character that shows up in the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survival games. When he first joined the Order, he became close friends with Jinn, who helped Cordova learn about and get used to Coruscant. So, Eno Cordova was an analog. He was someone who grew up around Qui-Gon, so they're similar ages, or would have been.
Mm-hmm.
So that, which is kind of cool. Like, I mean, we do get to see other versions of Qui-Gon when he was younger, and we get to see him. We do get to see versions of him after he has passed on, become one with the Force.
Yes.
So we do get a fairly rounded exposure to the character throughout the canon.
We do. Yes. I just remembered he was in the Tales of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, let me see here. Appearances. So appearances, he shows up in Star Wars. Why did it jump to a completely different section? Okay. Star Wars Galactic Defense, High Republic book in 2023. Tales of the Jedi episode Justice. He was in the book Padawan. He was in Star Wars Adventures Life Day and Life Day Part 2. Hyperspace Stories on Qui-Gon, Master and Apprentice audiobook. Jedi Knights 1 and 2. Yeah, he's shown up. Those are his canon appearances. There was a book called The Living Force where he was featured in it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, The Phantom Menace. And then he is mentioned by name at the end of Revenge of the Jedi or Revenge of the Sith. And then, he shows up in a lot of stuff. But then he does appear as a ghost, as a Force ghost, in the Clone Wars episode Overlords.
Mm.
And and in Ghosts of Mortis.
Yeah.
We do get to hear
he was the end of the Obi-Wan series.
Yes.
He's at the end there. Yeah. We hear his voice in episode 2.
Yes. Oh yes, we do. When Anakin is getting ready to kill the Sand People.
She says no. She says, Anakin, no.
Yeah, we do hear he is seen in flashbacks in Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 1. He's mentioned only in Part 2, voice only in Part 3, and then he shows up as a ghost or spirit in Part 6. So he does show up in 4 of those episodes.
Yeah.
And then let's see. His voice does show up in The World Between Worlds and Star Wars Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got a lot of appearances in canon for a character who literally was introduced in just one movie and killed off by the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, as far as his influence on Obi-Wan, how big do you think that influence was for the way that Obi-Wan looked at the Force, kind of went about being a Jedi? Because he seems in many ways to be almost the opposite. Like Obi-Wan was a very much a toe the line Jedi.
Well, I think Obi-Wan. Well, you have to go back and look at Obi-Wan's history. Like Obi-Wan was just days away from being phased out of the youth corps for the Jedi temple, and they were going to phase him into like the Agri Corps or something like that. Like he was no longer a youngling, and he was well past the age where he should have been selected for being a Padawan. And he was just days away. And then Qui-Gon shows up and he's like, him, I want him. And so, like, there's a part of Obi-Wan that is wanting to do everything he can by the book, because that's what he was known. That's what he's known. That is what he was trained to do. And he doesn't want to lose his spot within the order, because the fact that he even has a spot in the order beyond the Agri Corps is a miracle in and of itself. Like, think about how different the world of Star Wars would be, how that storytelling terrain would be if Qui-Gon hadn't come and said, I want him to be my apprentice. Obi-Wan would still be in the Agri Corps. He'd spend the rest of his life as a farmer on some distant world. He might burn out and decide, he doesn't want to have anything to do with this anymore and go off. At which point, Anakin is not his Padawan. At which point, Anakin doesn't meet Padme. She does not get pregnant, and we do not have Luke and Leia.
Right. I mean, there's a chance that it's not Qui-Gon who is sent to Naboo.
Right.
For negotiations. It could be a completely different Jedi.
It could have been
Jedi master, and it could have been.
Although I highly doubt that
Yoda
was he was the sitting Grand Master of the Council. So sending a Grand Master doesn't seem like something the Council would have done at the time.
Was Dooku had Dooku already left the Order by this point?
No, Dooku didn't leave the Order until
at the beginning of Episode 1.
No, he left after Qui-Gon was killed by Darth Maul. By that point, he was already like leaning towards leaving the Order.
So it could have been. Yeah. I mean, it could have been a possibility that Dooku. That would have been an interesting story. Is Dooku the one? They send Dooku for the negotiations,
right? And chances are, Dooku, as clever as he is, I don't even think he would have made it. He would have made it to the Trade Federation. He would have probably been assassinated midway in transit. Knowing how Palpatine operates, that sounds like something he would do.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's also interesting to think of, when you look at Qui-Gon, there's a bunch of what ifs.
Oh yeah.
What if he had survived? What if he had been the one to train Anakin? Yeah. It's
there's a lot of fun what ifs, and that's one of the ones I would love to have seen turned into an animated series.
Yeah.
But I find it really interesting because I'm looking at some of the behind the scenes stuff here on Wikipedia, and I like what Liam Neeson had to say on his character. He says he's almost like a monk, an old time warrior who is wise and quite philosophical, yet very skilled in martial arts. He has incredible confidence as well as a magical quality that enables him to see into the future. He's not really a rebel, but he has his own code. And I think that's really kind of a cool
that
interpretation.
Yeah. It's he's such a really a fascinating character.
Mm-hmm.
And especially his, like, I would have liked to have seen more of his interaction with the council, like, because we get like a little bit of it, and we get mention of the fact that there was tension between the council and Qui-Gon, but really see that played out, whether it be a book or something of that, and to see kind of, and again, a what if of how he would have helped Anakin navigate that. And would he have been wise enough to kind of see the influence that Palpatine was trying to have on Anakin? Because nobody else seemed to notice that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, they noticed that it was a bad idea to let Palpatine and Anakin spend any kind of quality time together. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you guys are sensing something and you're not listening to your own instincts on this. I honestly think that that Qui-Gon probably would have had a better read on the situation. Just because that seems to be how it was. Like, he was the one who detected Darth Maul trying to sneak up on them, as they were trying to leave Tatooine. Like, if you notice, there is a scene in Episode 1 where Maul's probe droid is coming through and flying through, and you see him turn around. Like, he gets the sense that there's something not right here, and he turns around to avoid being seen face to face with the ocular sensor on this droid. So I think it's entirely possible he would probably have handled it a lot differently.
I also think that he didn't and wouldn't have fallen prey to the one that eventually, I think you can argue, helped destroy the Jedi, which was their arrogance, their belief that they were, couldn't be destroyed. And I know this is kind of off subject, but you get a sense of that in Episode 2 when Jocasta Nu makes the comment of, well, if it's not in our record, it doesn't exist. When she's talking about it, my mind just went blank. The missing planet.
Of Kamino. Because like
Kamino, where she's like, oh, it's not in the record. So if it's not in the record, and we have all the records, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to
would have been about more practical, and
I think that goes back to more of the dogmatic description that Palpatine gives of the Jedi. Like, they are these collectors of all knowledge, but yet if a digital file has been removed from the library, they're not even paying attention to it. Like, meanwhile, I'm the kind of person
well,
a couple years ago, I was. What?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, a couple of years ago, I was dating a gal who thought it would be funny to rearrange and move my DVD collection around. I got everything titled by title, and she would move stuff around just to see how it would make me get. And I'm like, no, don't do that. And now I found that my copy of Inception is missing. Did it get moved? Did it get taken? I don't know. And now I'm going to probably have to spend money to get another copy. But yet, a Jedi can't find a digital file.
Yeah.
What does that say?
Yeah.
What does that say?
I do have a sense, though, that in Episode 2, when Obi-Wan's been captured by the Separatists and Dooku is questioning him, and Dooku makes the comment of, I wish Master Qui-Gon, that he wishes that Qui-Gon was here. He could use his wisdom. I get a sense that he wasn't lying. that Dooku truly wishes that Qui-Gon was there right now to advise him and to help and to give him to, and not necessarily just so he could, potentially turn him to the dark side, but genuinely, I get the sense that Dooku wishes that he could talk to Qui-Gon again.
Yeah. Well, and I think, the situation with with that particular scene is, I think it has less to do with Dooku thinking that he could turn Qui-Gon to his side of things. I think it's more of I think he misses having that conversation, because you have to think, it's been 10 years since the events of Phantom Menace by that point. But when you spend a good deal of your time training a Padawan, this person is someone who's grown up. Essentially it's a father-son relationship.
Yeah. And I also get the sense that Qui-Gon wouldn't have done the typical, like what Obi-Wan did of like, I'll never join you and you're insane. I think Qui-Gon would have talked to Dooku, engaged with him. Maybe not necessarily in the same say, okay, I'm going to listen to your side of the story, but
he would have engaged in a rhetorical debate. Like, he would ask him these questions to get him to think. It's like, are you really sure this is the direct, like, not necessarily gaslighting Dooku, but yeah, he definitely would have engaged the conversation and the philosophical side of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, what was by far, there aren't too many Qui-Gon moments, but what was by far one of your favorite Qui-Gon moments in his appearances?
Ooh, that's hard. His interactions with Anakin, I would say, the way he quickly kind of filled that father type, in a very short amount of time, filled that father figure type of role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I any with that. I don't know. There's just so many. Obviously, the Duel of the Fates was amazing. That was probably one of the, arguably one of the best lightsaber battles in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But
I honestly think that probably my favorite scene, and this is where I think the sense of humor comes into play. Qui-Gon wasn't known for his sense of humor, but it's when they're sitting around Shmi Skywalker's table having dinner, and Jar Jar is sitting there like taking snacks out with his tongue, being a very rude guest, and on the second one he just catches the tongue like it's nothing.
Yes.
He's like,
that and
be rude.
The what was the quote he says right before they right after they meet Jar Jar? He makes the quote about the ability to speak does not make one. What is that quote? The ability to speak does not make one wise, or something like that.
Yeah. And because like Jar Jar's whole thing is, I speak. Come on, talk to me. It's like, there's a lot of things that speak. Whether or not they're actually what they say is worth anything is another matter.
Oh man. Yeah. And his again is, even though he makes that line, he's also wise enough to know that there's something underneath this bumbling idiot. There is, he gives everyone equal time, and everyone, he doesn't treat the Gungans any differently than he treats the human Naboo.
Right. Well, because he and this is where he teaches on the symbiont circles. things are more connected than they realize. The gun, if something happens to the Naboo, even if they're underwater, something's going to happen to the Gungans.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
And the whole thing of listening, like he's just going, he takes the most dangerous route because it's the fastest way, but he's confident that the Force will guide him where he needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's kind of cool. This is a guy who is very, like, if we're talking about people who are clinging to their faith, he would be. I would equate him with Stephen the martyr in the Book of Acts, just simply because he was someone who lived his faith, lived it well, and was willing to die for it.
Yeah.
And I that story has always stuck out to me, and I see those parallels simply because of the parallels.
Yeah. 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 He knew the risk going in, and and I think that was the one, and we see that later on with Obi-Wan later at the end of his life, of him learning that lesson of being willing to lay down your life for others, and for self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
Which is a key. I mean,
if you go through and you look at, obviously we're looking at this through hindsight, but when you look at the way that Qui-Gon led and the way he taught, there's very little to no anger. There was very little to no aggression in the way he operated. There was a sternness. But there was patience, and he embodied those. And you can see that those are things that Obi-Wan had to apply when he was teaching Anakin, and there's that comment in throughout the Clone Wars of how different things would be if Qui-Gon had lived, if he had trained Anakin instead of Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And because throughout through the Clone Wars, and even before that, even in Attack of the Clones, like, you can see Obi-Wan losing his temper frequently and getting really annoyed frequently with Anakin and the way that Anakin operated. Like, anytime there was any ambiguity in Obi-Wan's instructions, Anakin applied that ambiguity to his favor, allowing him to act on his baser impulses. And the way he interpreted instructions was very frustrating for Obi-Wan. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan was the kind of person who, because of how exact he was, he would have said, if Qui-Gon had given the instruction, he would have said, well, what exactly do you want me to do? Spell it out for me.
Yeah.
And you see that by the time that Obi-Wan has, gone into hiding after he is, stuck himself on Tatooine, his behavior is different. He's a little bit more patient. He's a little bit more reserved. You can see that there's a weariness and an exhaustion, but at the same time, he doesn't spill everything out if he doesn't have to.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that. I was going to say, I don't think that when you look at how Anakin was with Obi-Wan, and you compare that to how he was with Qui-Gon, at a very young age, he didn't respect Obi-Wan the same way that he did Qui-Gon, because he didn't see Obi-Wan as a better. I think he always saw Qui-Gon as someone as a not just a father figure, but an authority figure, someone who was above him, someone that he could look up to and learn from and teach. I think he always saw Obi-Wan as an equal.
I think
someone
that
who
the
wasn't on the
quality
same
was there as they both became Jedi Knights.
Yeah.
But
I think there's another. I think maybe not necessarily as
he
an
saw them as
equal,
brothers for sure,
but not as a father figure, not
right?
as a which is
Not
what
as a
he which what he
not as a
needed.
teacher, not as a mentor.
No, it was older brother. Sure you can teach me a few things, but
But Anakin kind of went into it, and I think part of that is because someone may have told him when he was younger that he was this chosen individual, and I think that may have
that
gone
person who told him that died before he had a chance to temper those, help him temper that,
Yeah,
and keep teach him humility.
yeah. And Qui-Gon is a very interesting character. I would hope, with what we've.
So here's an interesting question.
Okay.
We've talked about how great of a character he is. What are some of the flaws you think that Qui-Gon had? Like as a character, like what are some things you could look at and think like,
As based on the kind of pragmatism that Obi-Wan usually employs, or the pragmatism that we see in Dooku, the way that the Order and the Council especially handle things, Qui-Gon comes off as reckless.
Yeah.
And sometimes not just reckless, he can be tactless in the way he handles things. Like he is flat out told, well, you can't, this is, we're not going to train Anakin in the ways of the Force. He's too old to pass the trials and to become a Jedi. He hasn't had any formal training. And Qui-Gon's first response is, fine, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it on my own. I don't need you guys to tell me whether or not I can. And then when they're like, well, you already have an apprentice, he's like, okay, fine. Promote my apprentice to a Jedi Knight, then I'll take him on. And even then, even in death, his recklessness was there in that he makes Obi-Wan promise him that he'll train Anakin and make him into a Jedi. And even then, like Obi-Wan said, hey, they sense something wrong with this kid. Why are you going against him?
Right.
Why are you so willing to put this kid through this training when the Order is sensing something off kilter here?
Yeah.
So I think Qui-Gon has a tendency of being a little reckless. I don't think he's doing it to be disrespectful. I don't think he's doing it to be that kind of character, but you can see that he feels very convicted about how things need to be.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit of Dooku rubbing off on him.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
Honestly, I think you hit the nail right on the head. He can be very, reckless. I think he, like you already kind of hit it. He tends not to look before he leaps a lot of times. He wings it. He kind of, he says he lets the Force kind of, Force guide him, but a lot of times he's just winging it.
Yeah, he is. And I think that's very frustrating for other people because in that's where Anakin really, is really good. Like Anakin was great at adapting to whatever their situation was. Sometimes his adaptations were a little too aggressive, but he was good at adapting. And Obi-Wan was to a point, but Obi-Wan wanted to make sure that whatever he chose to do fell in line with what was allowed for him to do as a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Anakin, he's like, well, if Qui-Gon could just follow the will of the Force, I can too. And in the back of my mind, I've got that Han Solo clip going, that's not how the Force works.
Force works? Yes.
So yeah, I think I don't know. Qui-Gon is a very interesting character, and I honestly would like to see more visual media depicting him, not just as a Force ghost, not just as a young Padawan. I would like to see more of him as a Jedi in the field, maybe like an episode where he is training a young Obi-Wan, like having an episode of their meeting. If we had a Tales of the Jedi season 2, that is an episode I would love to see. I would love to see an arc where you see him come alongside Obi-Wan, choose him, and pull him out of the potential listing for Agricor so that he could be Qui-Gon's Padawan. That would be an episode or a series of episodes I think would be really fun.
That would be. Yeah. Definitely. Can you think of anything else that we haven't hit on with Obi-Wan?
Not really. I mean, we've.
I would say Obi-Wan with Qui-Gon.
Yeah, I mean, we did a. I think. I mean, we covered a lot with this character, and I'm sure people in the comments, if people leave comments, please do. If they might have some questions, they might have some comments that we could piggyback off of for a future episode. But I think we've pretty much covered it all.
I did. Yeah.
So.
Yes, very. What are we talking about next week now?
Next week
we are our Christmas episode, right?
Yeah. Next week we're going to be talking about the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. I didn't even know this thing existed. I've always wanted to see Lumpy as a Lego.
I don't know if he's in it. I might look and see if we can have a special guest for the show that would be my daughter.
That would be cool.
Lily. We've watched the holiday special, Lego holiday special before, so we might watch it again and see if she might want to stop in and say hi and give her kind of thoughts on it.
Yeah, it'd be good to have her.
So yeah. But yeah, so next week we'll be talking the Star Wars holiday special.
And fingers crossed, Brian will be with us.
Yes. I might also give either as a short or part of the episode next week, my official review of the Aftermath trilogy.
Oh, that would be good.
Really, really good. And just a little snippet, a little teaser. One of the things they talk about in there is they have I guess you could say a side story where they talk about a character we talked a little bit about on this episode. That would be Jar Jar, and what happens to Jar Jar at the end of the movies.
Yeah, because that's one of those things that we don't really know what
how
happens
he
unless you've read the books.
Well, in this one, Naboo is kind of the central part for where at the end of the war, obviously during a major war like that, you have a lot of kids who are homeless or lose family members and end up being orphans. So there's a major orphanage on Naboo, and a lot of people come in, and you find out that he is spending most of his times in the city square entertaining the kids as a clown. And they talk about one of the kids there talks about how the adults don't really talk to him, and the other Gungans don't really talk to him. It's only the kids who have anything to do with him, and for him, he's just a clown. He's the clown. He does the juggling, he does the magic tricks, he does all the things, and that's what he's reduced to, is just being a clown for the kids.
That's sad.
It really is.
I mean, I was never a fan of the character, but the fact that he's reduced to that is really, really kind of depressing.
Yeah. Yeah. And he even talks about, it's like, well, maybe it was because they think that I'm the one who caused the bad empire to start.
Well, he didn't really get it to start. He just was the one who was duped into letting Palpatine have all that extra power.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, why don't you, Garrett, start us off by telling us where they can find you and Brian on the internets.
Yeah. As far as Brian's concerned, you guys can connect with him on Facebook.com. Just look for the Sith Library, or you can go to the website there, facebook.com/the.sith.library. You can also connect with him on Instagram at Corrosis. That is his Sith name, and he posts as Corrosis on the Sith Library, which is a fun collection of dark side and Sith lore. As for me, you guys can connect with me on Instagram and X at GKJ_publishing, where I talk about my show The Right Way on YouTube. I also talk about my books, whether it's my fantasy series, The Archives of Yassine Koran, or it's my short story anthology. I do have a, not to toot my own horn, but I do have a sale going on both my merch store and my bookstore. You can get, if you use the code HOLIDAY, you can get 15% off on your total purchase for either site. And there's going to be links in the video description linking you back to my page. But I also have another show on Feast of Fandoms called Snackame. We're going to be recording this weekend, and that episode will be out on the 19th of December.
Awesome. All right. As for us right here at War of the Stars, if you want to get a hold of us, a few ways you can do that. You can email us, warofthestars1@gmail.com. All other social media sites, you can find us at War of the Stars 77. If you want to support the show, Ko-fi.com, that is ko-fi.com/War of the Stars, or go to spreadshirt.com, type in War of the Stars, and you should be able to find us there. We are, of course, as Garrett mentioned shortly before, member of Feast of Fandoms. Check out all the shows of Feast of Fandoms. There is something for every type of fandom you can imagine, and probably some you can't. Check out all the shows. A lot of fun. Really great guest. I can speak. That will do it for us for this week. Join us next week again as we talk the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. I don't know what's going on. And before we go, I just want to leave you with this little piece of wisdom that I heard, that I learned from reading these Star Wars Aftermath books. That is, a hug is like violence made of love. Until next time, may the Force be with you.